everybody. I'm your host, Jaime Cerreta. On this podcast, we celebrate everything local in Arizona. Today, I want to introduce you to a ballerina who loves to bake. Sarah Chisholm is the founder of Wild Rye Baking Company. Her products are now in crate and barrel.
I know.
Oh my gosh, Sarah, I'm so excited for you. Thanks for coming on my podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's a real treat to talk to you.
Let's start at the beginning because you've been here in Phoenix for 15 years, but you're from where?
I'm from the Midwest. I'm from a town in the suburbs outside of Chicago, and it was a beautiful place to grow up, but it was so cold and snowy, so it's been a very fun journey to make my way to Phoenix.
And you
make this
made
home.
your way dancing.
Yeah.
So tell me about that journey because did you go to finish high school and when did you enter the dance world?
So I was like you. I started dance really early. I was a 3-year-old who just loved to dance, and my parents kind of saw early on that it brought me so much joy. And so I was pursuing a future in dance very early. So from 12, I was doing summer programs and traveling to different cities. And I finished high school. I went to a public high school outside of Chicago, and then I went to an art school for my senior year. And that really kind of catapulted me into this world of professional ballet. And so from there, I moved to Miami and danced with Miami City Ballet and learned so much there. And from there, I got a job with Ballet Arizona, and that's how I ended up here.
How long were you in Miami?
For a year and a summer. It was a short time, but it was so much fun.
I love Miami.
Me too.
On my journey back home, I was always trying to get a job in Miami. I'm like, just a couple of years in Miami before I go back to Phoenix would be so much fun. So you got to do both of them.
I know. It's
so that's
pretty
wonderful.
sweet. Yeah.
So what was the draw to Ballet Arizona?
Well, so there's a couple different styles when it comes to classical ballet, and there's American ballet and Russian styles, and there's all these different techniques. And there's a specific style that Ballet Arizona is quite known for. And the director at the time, Yves Anderson, was one of the specialists in this technique that I really love. And so I was drawn to dancing ballets that he was doing because it's what I loved to do. And there's this thing, I'm sure you can know it when you dance, when you feel most alive with the music and the lights and the stage, when you're dancing a ballet or a performance that you love, it just really brings so much joy to your world. And so I was always kind of chasing that type of work.
So the American style.
Yeah, Balanchine is what it's called.
What is it?
So it started at New York City Ballet. George Balanchine started this technique, and it's quite dramatic and expressive, lots of long lines, not long tutus, more short tutus and leotards. And it was just it spoke to me, and it really it touched on something that felt like it was a language I could speak and enjoyed speaking. And so I wanted to really follow that. And Yves Anderson was one of George Balanchine's direct dancers. So he was able to kind of take that lineage and teach us and share with us. And so it was a great learning experience as well as a job.
And how long with Ballet Arizona?
3 seasons. And then I was unexpectedly and really dramatically injured. But
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I mean, I think when you sign with a company that you love, and we were really fortunate. We were touring at the time, so we were doing a lot of work all over the country, and I was really happy and loving it. And I felt like I was just getting started at Ballet Arizona. And then I ended the 3rd season with 3 fractures in my tibia. One of them a 90% fracture, so my bone had almost broken in half just through repeated impact injury. And what was surprising was that it took my body a very long time to heal those fractures. And so it took me about 2.5 years before I was able to come back from that injury. And at that point, the job was no longer there.
Oh,
Yeah.
ouch.
I know. It was heartbreaking.
So you're in Phoenix.
Yes.
You're no longer capable physically of doing this thing that you gave your childhood to.
Yes.
What did you do then?
Well, after a freak out.
Yes, rightfully
after
so.
freaking out.
Multiple times, hopefully.
Yes, yeah. After feeling quite lost, I just decided to take some time to heal emotionally. The world of dance is so beautiful, but it has a lot of complex layers to it. And when you're in it and you're so a part of it, it is your whole world. And then when you're quite quickly taken out of that world, it takes some time to recalibrate and figure out who you are. I think many artists, when they change careers, face this challenge of who am I now without this identifying factor.
Right.
And what I noticed over time was that I was reaching to this thing that I had always done, which was baking. And I started to foster a love for cooking and for baking. And I did it mostly just to heal my own heart at the time and to share this expression of love with the people that I loved, because it brought me some comfort and some purpose. And from there, it started to become this thing that excited me again in a way of like, what do I want to do? Do I want to do this? Should I pursue baking or cooking? Is this the path? And fortunately, I had some really wonderful friends like kind of push me in the direction of pursuing these dreams.
Well, you had wonderful friends with the capability
yes.
to help you.
I know.
Which, I feel like sometimes you just have to say the things.
Oh, yeah.
And the right people will hear.
Oh,
or
yeah.
maybe just put that pastry in their mouth and taste and be like, you got something, girl.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened. How so?
Totally. So Aaron Chamberlain is a good friend of mine, and we would always just like hang out on the weekends and cook food and enjoy this like shared love of cooking and celebration and hanging out. And it was like late night and I was making cookies, and I'm always making something when I'm having people over. There's always like some dessert happening, and it's been like that since I was like 12 years old.
Wow.
But Aaron like leaned over to me, and I'm like pulling these cookies off of a sheet tray, and he's like, you love to bake. Like, have you ever considered doing it? You're good at it. And I was like, yeah, I guess I kind of have. I hadn't, but I was like ready to find the next thing.
Yeah.
I was ready to find this new version of Sarah, this new purpose. And I felt like that was a door. And so I just said yes. And he was like, well, come into my kitchen. He had just opened the Phoenix Public Market at the time. St. Francis had been open. It was one of my favorite restaurants. And so I came in there and I started at the very bottom. I'm not joking. I was like scooping cookies and sweeping floors. I'd never been to college. I had never been to culinary school. I had no real experience, but I wanted to learn. And that was all I needed. That was the gateway.
And Aaron's a well-known entrepreneur,
Yes.
restaurateur here. How did you meet him?
So I met him through my husband, Eric May, who owns a restaurant in Phoenix called The Parlor. And I think you can like just speak the same language when you speak restaurants. You're like, oh, they certainly as restaurant owners share similar challenges, and they can like kind of connect and bond over the struggles of entrepreneurship and restaurateurship. And so I was just a part of that circle, and Aaron and I just really clicked. And he was, I think, looking to grow his employee and his whole empire at the time. And so I was interested in knowing more and learning more, and luckily he was really generous with his experience share and gave me an opportunity.
And we have to mention Eric at The Parlor. His family has
Nello's Pizzeria.
Nello's for years.
Yeah.
So you've got two established restaurateurs, and goes, now you're baking. So it feels like it was kind of kismet.
Yeah.
You were obviously attracted somehow to those kind of people and people who were doing that. And then it was something that you did with your mom. And I loved kind of what you wrote here about when you're baking. Just the whisk in the bowl, the scent of the cake, the simple ingredients, and just that beauty of those. I think about my cupcakes my mom would send me to class with as a little girl.
Yes.
And I make them. I'll start using your products soon. But I just made, a little golden, the golden cake with the milk chocolate frosting. And it's just so simple, but it feels like childhood. It feels like deliciousness. It feels like your mommy took care of you and sent you with this today for your birthday.
Yeah.
And it's so romantic, and it's such a beautiful way to show someone that you care when you bake. So that's obviously something you feel when you're doing it.
Yes, I really care about a lot of things, and I care really deeply about a lot of things. And to me, the experience of baking is this very personal and real and human experience that soothes most everyone. And I know that baking can be intimidating. We can get to that. That's why I decided to not open a bakery, but instead launch a line of baking mixes, because I don't want people to feel intimidated, because my memories and love for baking just come from the experience of being in the kitchen, quieting my mind, and like being excited for this thing that I put together to come out of the oven so I can taste it, so I can share it with someone, so I can watch the person I love eat it. And like, there's so much meaning in that very simple act. And it's still like when I make pancakes, I still think about being a kid and my mom like baking for me. And I hope that like my daughter will feel the same way. And I think it's just this thing that tethers so many of us together. And I'm obsessed. Can you tell I love it?
I love it. It's just, I'm listening to it all. I'm totally engaged.
Good.
Let's talk about your line because
Okay.
this is so exciting.
Thank
because
you.
Like you said, you could have done a bakery. A lot of people do bakeries. A lot of people do a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Even a home kitchen where they might send out or deliver. But to provide what you have, your secrets in a box, is a really big deal in a unique way too. So tell me what you've done.
Well, I think to start, I didn't try to do something so alternative. I just, I have a real ethos around food and around cooking. And I think that the more simple and real something is, the better the experience. I think about like when I would travel to Italy or Spain and you'd have a dish that was just like roasted bell peppers with olive oil and salt. And somehow it was the most delicious thing you'd ever eaten. And I think that baking can sometimes be so over the top and there's gels and creams and mousses and like
edible
all these
glitter
things. Yeah. And that's great. If that excites you, I totally support the creative expression. I'm an artist at heart, but I think when you can really simplify something, it becomes better. And so it all starts with ingredients. And what I was noticing as I like moved out of the world of like professional pastry kitchens and started to expand my eyes to seeing what my friends who are lawyers or real estate agents or teachers, what are they using in their homes? I would see these boxed mixes and I'm like, that's not food and we can do better. Like the ingredients in here are not that great or simple. And so I looked at it and I'm like, what if I tried to take the simplicity and like the real ingredients that I loved working with in pastry kitchens, and what if I turned them into a mix that you can make at home with 3 ingredients in a bowl? And what if you can make the best cake you've ever made from a box
with a scratch-made recipe from you?
Yeah, that's what
Pretty
it is.
much.
I mean, this olive oil cake, for example, this recipe is a version of what existed at the St. Francis dessert menu. We did it with a plum caramel. Yeah, that's my recipe. I mean, that was like my work. And so I took that recipe and I started to rework it to think, how can I turn this into a cake mix? And so in our olive oil cake, it's organic flour, organic cornmeal, sugar, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and vanilla.
You ate them all. 1, 2, 3,
Oh, I mean,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 ingredients.
That's it.
And I recognize every single thing in here.
I know.
That's a big deal.
And then like we can get really nerdy for a second, but like even the flour that we use, I decided to work with a mill out of Colorado because they work with organic regenerative farms that are growing really flavorful and delicious wheat, and they mill it to order for us. Oh, wow. So instead of having something that's been sitting in a warehouse for months, maybe years, we're getting flour that's like milled fresh, delivered to our workshop. And when it comes, it smells so sweet and good. And it's just like, it's very meaningful. Yeah, I love it. And I love being able to put it into like a beautiful package and then share it with all of you.
Tell me about the logo because it's so darn cute.
So we call it the bowl of magic. And I really do. I mean, part of our tagline is baking magic because I think that it is kind of magical what happens. I mean, you heard how nostalgic I got talking about what can happen when you're baking. And I think that that's magical. And I think that, you can put 8 ingredients into a bowl and then it transforms into a birthday cake. Like that's amazing. And so we created this bowl of magic logo with the stars falling in. And,
that's so cute.
We really wanted to take the time to have any customer open this box or touch this box and think to themselves, like, what is this? This feels different because it is different. Yeah. And we're not like anything else. And that's by design.
You have 3 ingredients you will need. Olive oil. Yeah. I got that. Yeah. Milk. I got that. 3 eggs. Woohoo. I'm living the life. We just had payday. I got that.
I know. I'm like, we might have to make an egg-free thing coming up. But my goodness.
Let's hope not. Hopefully things will change.
Right?
But those 3 things, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're going to go 350 with our cake. We're going to grease our cake pans as well. Oh, pro tip. Line the bottom of your pans with parchment paper to make sure there's no sticking. All
right, there's a lot of like pro tips that I like to include even on our website or our YouTube because I want people to feel like they have a connection to me. And I have done a lot of trial and error in the baking world. And so I want to be like, these are things that really help. Don't freak out. Don't stress. Enjoy this experience. I got you. Exactly.
So the olive oil cake, what else did you bring? What is this?
I brought our pancakes. I wanted you to see like some of our favorites. The pancakes are the best seller. They're made with almond flour and brown rice and sorghum. And I wanted to create a recipe that tasted indulgent and like a Sunday brunch pancake, but was nutritious enough and low in sugar enough that you could have it any day of the week. You could feed it to your kids and you could feel really great about making it. And it just so happens to be gluten-free and it's amazing. They're like the best pancakes I've had. And I'm very judgy. I really am.
Is there a secret to the perfect cook on a pancake?
Well, I think it's like there's different types of people, right?
Yeah.
Like some people like big pancakes. I like more like little ones. So I have like 3 small ones that I like to have. But you can kind of do your own thing. I think the secret is just the ingredients if they're good. And then like don't sleep on maple syrup. That really does make a big difference. Like real maple syrup on a pancake is
When do you flip
so
it
good.
though?
I wait for it to be nearly done on the first side. So you want to see the bubbles come up around. It goes from being very glossy, the batter, to then becoming almost matte because the heat is cooking it through from the bottom. And then once it stops being super glossy and it's matte and the bubbles are bubbling up around the edge, you flip it. And there's kind of 2 techniques. If you want like crispy edged pancakes, you want to use a lot of fat in the pan. So that's either olive oil or butter, and that's going to give you those really like lacy edged, crispy pancakes. And if you want more of like the standard griddle pancakes, like more light, you want to use almost no fat in your pan, which is surprising to people. But you almost, if you're working with a good nonstick skillet or a griddle, it's like you almost don't want to grease it at all. You just let the pancakes do their thing and flip them, and that's what I tend to do the most, and it's quite good.
See, pro tips.
I got you. I'm here.
They just keep coming. I love it. Talk to me about the frostings too.
Yes.
Because one of the things, I always ask people to fill out paperwork and kind of give me some talking points. You said no weird additives.
No.
I think we are all looking for no weird additives just in life and then especially in our food right now.
I could not agree more. I think that was what I was seeing amongst my community, and I felt like there was a real opportunity for it. And for me personally, that's how I was always baking already. So I was just ready to kind of fill that need. You can make really delicious things with things like organic coconut milk powder and organic matcha. And if you add that to organic powdered sugar with a little bit of salt, you can make a frosting that tastes like it belongs in like a French patisserie. And so I started working with ingredients in our frostings that were kind of fun and flavorful and playful. So we did like a peanut butter coffee frosting, and we're working with like a local coffee roastery. They grind the coffee for us, and then we add it with dehydrated peanut butter and really great flaky salt. And you add 2 sticks of butter to that mix, and you have like a delicious frosting that goes great with chocolate. You could dip pretzels into it. It's fun. It makes it really easy for people to not only bake the cake, but then be like, okay, how do I take this home and like elevate it even more? Pick up one of our frosting mixes, and then you can be frosting cupcakes or a layer cake, and it's just more fun.
So it's a frosting mix. All right. I recently have been turning back to baking a smidge, just a tiny bit.
I love
for some occasions here at work.
Yeah.
And one, I had to buy myself the proper cupcake carrier.
Yes.
2, I had to learn to slow down in the car and not tailgate because I got brake checked and boom, the cupcakes went flying and I came into work
Been there.
angry.
Yes,
With
I have
some smashed
been
cupcakes.
there. I delivered a cake one time. I was going to my friend's birthday party, and I love to do the birthday cake. That is my thing. I'm like, give me this
cake
job.
assignment.
I want to do it. And so I was in the car with the cake in the box. I was so excited, and I braked too fast, and it just slammed into the side of the box. I showed up with like a demolished cake.
Yeah.
We put some candles in it. It was still delicious, but I still am traumatized by it. I still think about it.
Yeah.
This was years ago.
Do they think about it? They probably don't
hope
at all. They're like, that cake was so good.
I really hope not.
But yeah, I definitely took it hard that day too. I think I threw a tiny public temper tantrum.
Yeah. You're like, I was trying really hard to do well.
Like, this is for you, and I'm so sorry. My next question is, how are we supposed to frost them at home? Because I did get that injector type situation and try
Like
to do
the piping bag?
Yeah, well, not even that. It was something off Amazon. It was almost like like those push-up popsicles.
Jamie.
What do I see? Thank you.
This is where I'm like, we don't need all these tools. People get a little like I have a friend, she's like, I have this tool that like cuts green beans perfectly. I'm like, a knife could do that, like I'm trying to be like less is more,
Yes.
less stuff, right? So we actually have on the Wild Rye Baking website, we have what I call the Master Baker Kit. And it's like everything that you need to frost a cake like a pro and nothing else.
Perfect.
Because I think you can like purchase so much stuff and then you never use it and it's intimidating. If you want to frost a cake really well at home, you really just need an offset spatula and a bench knife. If you want to get creative with like piping on your cupcakes, then get a piping bag and a piping tip. We actually have some tutorials on our YouTube, but honestly, like try to go more simple. Like think about what your grandma might have done to frost something like
a butter knife.
Exactly. Yeah. I actually did a challenge like this. I was like, could I frost an entire cake with a butter knife and make it look good enough? And you can. It takes a lot longer, but you can. And sometimes we're kind of influenced to buy stuff that we end up never using, or it makes us afraid to bake in the first place. So you got this.
So don't be ashamed of mine. I do have, what is that? What were the two tools you said?
A bench knife and an offset spatula.
Okay, offset spatula. Is that the little guy?
Mm-hmm. And it's got like a bit of a curve to it. It just allows you to spread frosting really easily. Okay. But you could also like send me a message. I'll send you a video. I got you. I want you to feel good and confident when you're baking.
And then as I'm driving very slowly to work and like no one make eye contact with me, no one get in my way. Yeah. I need a clear path to my desk. I am placing this right here for safekeeping.
I know.
But it feels good to do that for someone. There's, it goes back to just kind of a romantic sense of almost like preparing for a performance. So I get why you would transition from one to another because it takes time, it takes dedication. It's a labor of love. It's physical, it's mental, all of that, and then it's showtime.
You're speaking like to a beautiful part of my soul right now because it's true. There's a lot of love that goes into it, and I hope that my story can inspire people who are like, I'm only good at this one thing to change how you look at it, because you can be really good at something else. And there's a lot of ties between ballet and pastry that most people on the surface would never think. But for me, it works. And all of those those details that I loved in dance about, like, how do I present my foot so perfectly or turn out and remember to do this and like, also remember to smile and share and perform. Like, how do I take all of that mindfulness and translate it into this new thing that I'm doing? And it's a unique challenge. It's not obvious, but it's in there, and it's very meaningful to be able to transform that experience into this one.
And people don't really think about ballerinas baking or eating baked goods.
No.
So tell me about that, because you did kind of all along the way.
Yeah, I think that there is this real culture in dance that rewards being as thin as possible. I wish that were not true, but I think it is a part of the experience. And I did not come out of the world of classical ballet unscathed. I didn't have the healthiest relationship to food and to baking. But what has really changed for me over time is that if I know the quality of what I'm enjoying is there, and I know that it tastes really good, it feels worth it to me. And it's not like I only eat cakes and pancakes. I mean, I do eat a lot of them, like probably comparatively to the normal person. But I have a relationship that like life is worth celebrating. And, even when I was dancing, I have memories of being at Miami City Ballet, and my friends would come over to my apartment, and my roommate and I would bake, and we would sit on the floor. All of these friends, had just gone through like a hard week of dance, and we'd sit on the floor and we would eat chocolate cake from the pan, just like living and celebrating. And so there's always been a need for me to celebrate life. Yeah. Now it feels so much more like healthy and whole, and it feels like I have a really good relationship to the quality of these ingredients, which makes me even more proud to share them with anybody. But yeah, that was an evolution for sure. Baking to ballet to baking.
Yeah, no doubt. How did you get your product into Crate and Barrel? That's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Thank you for saying that. It is a big deal. It's something that I'm really, really proud of, because I think back to that time when I was freaking out, like, who am I now? What am I now? What do I have to offer that's going to bring me any level of, success or fulfillment? And so to see our product in just like a retailer with an impeccable reputation, with incredible taste, and to be included in their line of items is just like, I didn't even know I could dream that big. I didn't know I could dream to have Wild Rye there. So it was a process. Their food buyer reached out to us. We started a conversation. And then you realize, like, what does it take to go from working with, because we have amazing local partners. We have a lot of like fine food retailers across the country. And I'm so grateful to be in them as well. So I don't want to discount their business for Wild Rye, because they are so a part of who we are as a brand. But there's a big difference between working with like a small 1 to 3 unit business and then working with a 70 unit national business with an international presence and an online store. Just the way that they interface with you is very different. So we really had to grow quickly and mature quickly in terms of just even the language that you use, because they'll say things like, do you have EDI software? And I'm on these calls and I'm Googling like, what is EDI software? But this is the real thing. Not everyone is like, you don't start a business and know how to do everything. You learn as you go. And so I was just in the middle of doing this deal behind the scenes, and I was just reminding myself constantly, like, I'm learning. I'm not supposed to know this, but I'm gonna learn this. And I just put myself in a position to deliver because I wanted it so badly.
Let's bridge the gap between making pastries with Aaron Chamberlain to here. What happened in between?
Well, there was a time, so Aaron and I worked together for years, and we had this like beautiful working relationship because I really wanted to grow and he wanted to grow. So I was like, let's do wholesale. And we grew the largest wholesale bakery at the time. So we weren't just doing our 5 restaurants, we were doing coffee shops and doing pastries for a bunch of different stores across the valley. So we were growing and growing and growing. And then I recognized, and this is really on me, I recognized that I stopped baking for fun. I was doing it for work, and I wasn't really doing much baking by the end. I was managing P&Ls and driver schedules and the team, and that was so valuable for what I'm doing now. But I stopped baking for fun. I was just working so much. And so I was going to take the time to look at myself and be like, what is the next chapter of my life like? I recognize that I can do something else. I love pastry. I love being a pastry chef, but I'm not necessarily loving this version of a pastry chef. And so it just first started by like giving other people the opportunity to become the pastry chef, because there's always people who have those dreams. And so it was my time to step away from the restaurant group and allow for other people, other amazing and talented chefs to get their chance to become, the head of that department. And I took the time to think, what is it I want to do? And I mentioned, like, should I open a bakery? Is that the next step? And I do have a lot of ideas of what a Sarah bakery would look like. But again, in that time frame, in that process, I was going back to like, why did I fall in love with baking in the first place? And it was my mom and me in the kitchen at home, and then my dad eating the cinnamon rolls that we would make all around the table together. And so I just kept coming back to those memories, and it had to look more like that than like a beautiful pastry case and early mornings. It had to look different. And I didn't quite know how to bridge that gap for some time, because I was like, well, what do I do? What do I have to offer? What is that? And the idea of making a baking mix as a pastry chef is risky, because I mean, what pastry chefs do you know that are like reaching for baking mixes? So I had to really like think this idea through and think like, can I make something that is truly amazing and truly delicious and good and technically sound that I am willing to put my name on and then share with all of these local chefs that I admire and are my friends. And finally, it took a lot of time, a lot of recipe development and testing, and like, I handed out a lot of mixes to a lot of my friends, and I was like, make this and give me like your honest feedback. What am I working with here? And what started happening was all of these people were like, can I get more of that? Can you sell me like 4 of those? I want to give them to my friends. And I was like, we're on to something.
How long was that process?
About 1.5 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I decided to just go for it. And we started very small. It was just me making the mixes. You know, I would make them a couple dozen at a time and say like, okay, well, hopefully I can sell 12 mixes, you know. Now we're selling 8,000 mixes at a time. It's a very different level.
So how did this food, I don't know, what would they call it? Recruiter maybe from Crate and Barrel find you?
Online.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
I know. It's like, you talk about just like divine timing or like the connection or how things just feel kismet.
Yeah.
It really felt, you know, Crate and Barrel's based in Illinois. That's where it's like not far from where I'm from. For me, it felt like this connection to home and this opportunity that I wanted to chase. And, you know, I think they probably reached out to a lot of food brands as they're expanding their offerings, and only a few are selected. You know, we're the only baking mix in Crate and Barrel. So this is a very big account to land.
Wait, what did you say?
We're the only baking mix at Crate and Barrel.
How does that feel to say? Holy smokes,
I
Sarah,
mean,
that's a big deal. Run to your
really
local
good.
Crate and Barrel, no matter what city you are in, nationwide. This girl's bakes goods right here. Isn't that incredible? I mean, that's so exciting.
Yeah, it's a dream. It's something I'm so proud of and excited to share with you. It's so fun to talk about it. Thank you for helping me reflect and appreciate it.
Well, I want to, before I let you go, I think that one thing that is so important that we talked about is that transition from being something athletic.
Yes.
And injury. This happens to so many people.
Yeah.
And it can be, you know, or just, you know, I had things happen in my career that my identity was, this is what I thought I was this, but now I have to reshift, and it can be a gut blow.
Yeah.
So just give us some information on how to make that transition. And, you know, I learned you have to give yourself grace and realize you're a daughter, you're a sister, you're a friend. And those top 3 groups of people don't care what I do for a living or whatever.
I think that's so beautiful. I think that anyone who is just real with themselves will face difficult times in their life. I think that for me, I was very young when this career change was forced upon me. And I just felt this sense even in the depth of my feeling of being lost, I felt this sense of like, this isn't going to be it for me. I don't know what is next, but I am so committed to myself to discover what this next thing will be. And the only thing I will say is that like, it's gonna take the time that it takes. And I started to just be open to the information that was coming towards me and that I was feeling within myself. And slowly the path like starts to present itself in front of you, and you just take it one step at a time, one bite at a time. And the next thing you know, you're a new version of yourself that is ideally better than you could have imagined. I mean, this truly is more than I could have dreamed for my life. And I know that there will be more ahead. So I think it's just about trusting the process and being okay when you're not okay. 'Cause it's going to happen.
Yeah. Embrace the suck. That's what the woman I just interviewed on my last podcast.
Yeah.
Coach Star, embrace the suck.
Yeah. Like it's, you know, somebody said this to me when I was feeling very broken and sad and lonely and scared and insecure. And I just was like, I haven't felt this yet in my life. This is as scared as I've ever been. And someone said to me, they said, these are the times that shape you and that change you and that make you. And it's very true.
Yeah.
I am me now because of that. I became this version of me because I got to go through those very scary and lonely times.
Yeah.
And I would choose this path, even though it was incredibly hard, over not experiencing that type of pain.
I think the 20s are interesting because you're, especially as a high-performing young adult, you're training very regimentally for your youth, and then you're with a specific goal in mind. And most times you keep graduating, first grade, second grade, third grade, you keep graduating, getting better. And then all of a sudden in your 20s, 30s, something weird happens.
Yes.
And you're not used to it because things that we'd been following the schedule, doing the things, and all the things are going great. And then you're not used to it.
Yeah.
But that is life. That's your 20s and 30s. That's moving forward. Now you have more skill set on how to move forward and bounce back faster. And one of the things when I was in one of those lows was very similar to yours. I want to see how the story ends.
Yeah.
Like I trust myself. I trust my strength. This part sucks, but I want to see how this ends or what happens next because I know something's going to come out of it. And many wonderful things did. But it's so interesting, those moments of just how to get yourself back up again, recreate a new form of yourself and what that looks like.
Yeah, I love how I think I'm going to be taking that line with me for the rest of my life. Like I want to see how this story ends because I do. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think that you need the contrast, like it's cheesy, it's cliche, but there's something there that like you don't appreciate the light without the darkness. You don't have, if you don't have as much to compare it to, you don't know how good it feels to feel good if you haven't felt really bad. And so I want to see how this story ends.
Well, we're going to be along with you for the ride. So please keep in touch with us as more things come your way.
I will.
Can't wait to continue to follow your story and make some baked goods at home. The elevated home cooking and baked goods with Sarah at Wild Rye. We're putting all the information so you can find her and find her stuff at Crate and Barrel. We're going to put that online for you. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Jaime's Local Love, the podcast. I'm your host, Jaime Cerreta. Our technician is Tom Heidinger. Our editors are Lorraine Shearing and Gina Coy. Do you know a business worthy of some local love? Email me at jcerreta@azfamily.com. Follow us at facebook.com/Cerreta and Instagram @Cerreta News. Make sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star review, please. And tell your friends about the podcast and the businesses we feature to show your local love. You can find us on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
Jaime's Local Love, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast.